People are now reflecting on Meghan Markle and her entry into the royal family because, let's face it, something about it never sat right with many people. It's like watching a movie again and finally seeing all the warning signs you missed the first time around. This isn't just about some naive Hollywood actress falling in love with a prince and living out a fairy tale. It's beginning to look more like a slow-burning thriller where every move might have had a deeper motive. And now, out of the blue, a nuclear-level accusation is circulating that Prince William allegedly told close friends that Meghan. Let that sink in for a moment, because if it's true, it transforms the already messy dynamic between the brothers into something much more personal. Forget about political differences, royal rules, or media pressure. This is about loyalty, betrayal, and blurred lines that go straight to the heart of the royal rift. The craziest part is that some people are saying the signs were there all along before Meghan ever met Harry. Friends from her past have said she wasn't just interested in Harry. Markle wanted him, not Harry. Inquisitive about the monarchy, she was enamored. She understood the royal hierarchy, the regulations, who was next in line, and who held the real power. At the top of that hierarchy was Prince William, the golden boy, the future king, intelligent, well-respected, and polished by a lifetime, in the spotlight. According to those who knew Meghan at the time, she saw that and admired it. But admiration is one thing, strategic interest is another. Sources are now speculating that long before Harry was even on her radar, she had her sights set on William, not necessarily in a spooky or desperate manner, but rather in a way that fit the profile, as if she had a checklist, and William checked all the boxes. If this is true, then her relationship with Harry may not have been a coincidence. Rather, it may have been a plan B. Consider how that plays out inside the palace walls. Let's say William noticed it at some point during a conversation. A strange vibe, a lingering look, an odd compliment that didn't feel quite appropriate. Nothing obvious, but enough to make him uncomfortable enough to say something to Kate. If Kate felt it too, that explains everything. Her coldness, her distance, the strange tension at public events. It wasn't just about Meghan being American or breaking protocol. It might have been extremely personal. Now picture yourself in Harry's position, your older brother, the man you grew up admiring. This kind of thing tears families apart, and perhaps that's exactly what happened, because after that claim, if it really happened, things reportedly went icy fast. Harry and William, who were already on shaky ground, barely spoke, and Meghan and Kate were basically strangers under the same royal roof. Every public event turned into a minefield, every glance scrutinized by the tabloids, and behind the scenes, you can bet there were heated conversations. Even though your differences tell you point blank that your wife may have been into him before she met you. Do you believe it? Do you dismiss it as jealousy or paranoid? The palace's unofficial rule has always been to never complain, never explain. But let's face it, if William felt strongly enough to say those words, he must have reached his breaking point. He must have been tired of playing nice while feeling like something shady had happened under his nose. And now that it's all leaking out, it feels like the dam has broken. The gloves are off. But here's the twist. Meghan hasn't said a word yet. And that silence is loud because anyone who knows Meghan knows she doesn't back down from a fight. The more you dig, the messier it gets. This is just the beginning. Behind closed doors, things in the palace weren't as polished as they looked in public. Royal life may come with tiaras and titles, but when you strip that away, it's just another family dealing with pride, suspicion, and awkward dynamics. Whether she's preparing for a response or the silence is its own message, the whole situation has people wondering if her entry into the royal family was truly about love, or if it was a well-thought-out plan that didn't quite go as planned. Meghan's energy around William seemed different, and she was always smiling and leaning in to make eye contact for longer than usual. At first, this could have been dismissed as confidence or even nerves, but over time it started to make people uncomfortable. One aide reportedly described it as a performance that never turned off, whether it was around Harry, William, or even guests at royal dinners and Kate. She wasn't unaware. She picked it up early. She didn't yell, gossip, or throw shade in public, but she noticed that her body language changed, so she stopped trying. Friendly gestures, no private conversations between duchesses, and cold professionalism at best. If Kate felt threatened or simply annoyed by Meghan's behavior, she never expressed it aloud, but those close to her noticed that she had changed her demeanor. The press, which had always been the epitome of composure, began to speculate about a Duchess feud, but they were unaware of how deeply uncomfortable Kate was. Now, imagine the mental turmoil William had to deal with. You're the future king, your life is being scrutinized, and your brother's new partner is raising red flags in your mind. Do you confront her? Do you speak to Harry? Do you keep quiet for the sake of the family? According to insiders, William attempted to maintain his composure. But as soon as he allegedly told someone that she wanted to sleep with him, it became evident that he could no longer keep it to himself. That statement wasn't just personal, it was nuclear, and it wasn't just a reflection of what he believed Meghan might have felt. It was a direct hit, a confession that probably opened up every unspoken issue between the brothers and Harry. He wasn't going to take it lightly because, even if he didn't believe it, or thought William was exaggerating or misinterpreting something, it planted a seed that grew quickly and wild from that point on. Every little thing was re-examined every time. Meghan and William had shared a moment, a joke, a conversation, and everything came under a new light. Fiercely protective of Meghan doubled down, stopped trying to patch things up, and began separating himself more and more. Suddenly, the royal exit didn't look like a peaceful departure. Instead, it looked like an escape. Insiders say that things inside the palace became tense, with short meetings and icy conversations. There were times when William and Harry didn't even look at each other. Meghan and Kate were like two statues in the same room, with no words, no warmth, and everyone tiptoed around them. It was a family under pressure to pretend everything was fine for the cameras while privately falling apart. And let's not forget, the outside world. The media picked up on the tension, but they never really knew the cause, blaming everything from jealousy to cultural differences to palace politics. But this new claim may have been the covert reason all along, a personal betrayal that couldn't be covered up with smiles or explained in press releases. The question now is, was Meghan really premeditated from the start? Some argue that she didn't enter this world by chance, that her ascent into royal circles was years in the making, pointing to how well prepared she appeared to be, how she handled interviews, and how she knew when to play the victim and when to take charge. According to this perspective, Meghan saw William as the perfect target, but she ended up with Harry when Plan A didn't work out. Others counter that Meghan was just self-assured and charismatic, and that she wasn't prepared for the palace's coldness, didn't shrink herself to fit into outdated expectations, they claim. They also claim that the royal family didn't know how to deal with a woman who wouldn't follow their unwritten rules, and that any admiration she had for William was only superficial. By the time she met Harry, regardless, the damage was done. The idea that Meghan once wanted William, true or not, created a crack in the foundation of the royal family that just kept growing. And now that it's out in the open, there's no way to repair it quietly. However, behind all of this drama is one quiet figure, Kate, the woman who stood by William through it all. She never voiced complaints or shared her side, but perhaps she didn't need to. Perhaps her silence was the loudest voice in the room because despite all of Meghan's ups and downs, rumors, and whispers, Kate never broke down. Instead, she continued to move forward. This may have been her greatest power move, but while the royal family maintained their usual polished facade, internal divisions were growing with each headline. Meghan and Harry were physically removed from the palace grounds, but the ghost of everything they left behind continued to loom over Kensington. And now that the latest rumor about Meghan's alleged interest in William is circulating in the media, the drama isn't the only thing stopping people in their tracks. Those who knew Meghan from her early acting days say she had this air of someone meant for more. Not in a dreamer kind of way, but like she was already moving pieces behind the curtain. They talk about how she kept up with global events, powerful families, and royal gossip, not just for fun, but like someone preparing for a big one. When you compare that to the story that's currently being whispered in private circles, the critics say she's always calculating. It's difficult to avoid wondering if some of that preparation was involved. Shortly after Meghan and Harry began dating, everything accelerated, including their engagement, whirlwind wedding, and suddenly the Suits actress was standing shoulder to shoulder with the future queen attending ceremonies and waving from palace balconies to the public. It was magical, but to insiders it felt like something had been sped up, with protocols being broken, rules being disregarded, and the customary royal caution gone. Then things began to fall apart. with staff conflicts, rumors of tension, media, fallouts, and finally the infamous Oprah interview, in which Meghan and Harry revealed everything they had been keeping in the dark about racism, isolation, and security concerns. One thing that never came up during this alleged moment between Meghan and William may have been too messy, too dangerous to touch, or too close to the truth. Now that the rumor has been released, Meghan's silence is even more intriguing because she isn't afraid to defend herself when the tabloids misrepresent her or paint her as cold. She responded when the family dynamics were questioned, and she addressed them head-on. But this has her quiet, and people are reading into it. Some say she's waiting, while others believe there is nothing to dispute, but that silence is only making things worse for William. The situation couldn't be more delicate. He's always been the one with stoic duty first, so for him to make a comment as bold as "she wanted to sleep with me," that's not something he would casually discuss, which is why those who know him think it might have actually happened, or at least he thought it had. When someone like William talks about something so openly, it usually means he's been holding it for a long time, which puts Harry in the most tragic position of all. The younger brother is now cut off from both his wife's detractors and his own blood. If Harry ever heard this claim directly from William, it would explain a lot of his quick departure, growing resentment, and almost militant loyalty to Meghan. Whether the claim is true or not, hearing it from your brother would feel like a betrayal, like a warning that arrived too late. The royal family will naturally not formally address any of this. They'll continue the public is no longer content with fairy tales. They want the dirt, the truth, the behind-the-scenes chaos, and this rumor gives them all of it. So Meghan's next move will be the most watched. Will she break the silence? Will there be another Oprah moment, a sit-down special to clear the air, or perhaps a lawsuit, a statement, or a social media post that pushes back? Whatever it is, it will define the next chapter of this saga, because the one thing she has always been good at is taking control of the narrative, changing public opinion, and reframing the story in this story. In the meantime, Kate and William will continue to be calm and do what they always do, but people will view them differently, because now that the public is aware that there is more to the story than just a feud, it is about trust, power, and hazy intentions. It is about what happens when fairy tales collide with real-life ambition, and it is about how one whispered sentence, just 7 words, could have permanently altered the course of royal history. She wanted to sleep with me, and as a result, the royal family may never look the same.